Hi, all my subscribers out there. First of all, happy Valentine's Day. I hope that you are with loved ones and friends this day, or at least maybe on the weekend or something. And just know that God's love was so great, that He came and sent His only begotten Son to die for all of us, just at the precise right moment. And that His love abounds and knows no bounds. And He just is wrapping you, each and every one of you, in His love on this day. And just feel your guardian angel hugging you and loving you, and also, all those unemployed angels out there sending their love on this special day to you. So I hope that you know this in your heart, how much the Lord does love you, and that you feel it today. And from me as well, I love you guys, all of you. Thank you to all my new subscribers. I do appreciate you so very much. I finished for the third time, the song Coming Back to You. Very haunting melody, and just sort of a cool 60s song by Jefferson Airplane, written by Marty, who he wrote it, and Grace Slick and Cassidy, I think Marty mentioned, was in the studio, and also some other musicians that helped him, work on this song. Anyway, so I did it for the third time. You could check it out. I think I got the right chords and everything, and sort of put my little Margie spin on it as well. All right, so we finished yesterday on the Swedenborg sampler on page 20, so I wanted to get started with that. The reason our spirit is not separated from our body until the motion of the heart has stopped is that the heart answers to affection and attributed of love, which is our essential life. Since all of us derive our vital warmth from love, consequently, as long as this union lasts, there is a responsiveness, and therefore the life of the spirit is still in the body. I have not only been told how the awakening happens, I have been shown firsthand the experience, and actual experience happened to me, so I could have full knowledge of how it occurs. So, this is what I wanted to read. I was brought into a state in which my physical senses were inoperative, very much then like the state of people who are dying. However, my deeper life and thought remained intact, so that I could perceive and retain what was happening to me and what does happen to people who are being awakened from death. I noticed that my physical breathing was almost suspended, with a deeper breathing, a breathing of the spirit, continuing along with a very slight and silent physical one. At first, when a connection was established between my heartbeat and the heavenly kingdom, because that kingdom corresponds to the human heart, I also saw angels from that kingdom, some at a distance, but two sitting close to my head. The effect was to take away all my own affection, but to leave me in possession of thought and perception. I remained in this state for several hours. Then the spirits who were around me gradually drew me away. Thinking that I was dead, I sensed a sweet odor like that of an embalmed body, for when heavenly angels are present, anything having to do with a corpse smells sweet. When spirits sense this, they cannot come near. This is also how evil spirits are kept away from our spirit when we are being admitted into eternal life. The angels who were sitting beside my head were silent, simply sharing their thoughts with mine. When these are accepted by the deceased, the angels know that the person's spirit is ready to be let out of the body. They accomplish this sharing of thoughts by looking into my face. This is actually how thoughts are shared in heaven. Since I have been left in possession of thought and perception so that I could learn and remember how awakening happens, I noticed that at first the angels were checking to see whether my thoughts were like those of dying individuals who are normally thinking about eternal life. They wanted to keep my mind in these thoughts. I was later told that as the body is breathing its last, our spirit is kept in its final thought until eventually it comes back to the thought that flowed from our basic or ruling affection in the world. Especially, I was enabled to perceive and even to feel that there was a pull, a kind of drawing out of a deeper level of my mind, therefore my spirit from my body, and I was told that this was being done by the Lord and is what brings about our resurrection. Cool, huh? When the heavenly angels are with people who have been awakened, they do not leave them because they love everyone. But some spirits are simply unable to be in the company of heavenly angels very long and want them to leave. When this happens, angels from the Lord's spiritual kingdom arrive, though through whom we are granted the use of light, since before this we could not see anything but could only think. I was also shown how this is done. It seemed as though the angels rolled back a covering from my left eye toward the center of my nose, so that my eye was opened and able to see. To the spirit, it seems as though this were actually happening, but it was only apparently so. As this covering seemed to be rolled back, I could see a kind of clear but dim light, like the light we see through our eyelids when we are first waking up. It seemed to me as though this clear, dim light had a heavenly color to it, but I was later told that this varies. After that, it felt as though something were being rolled gently off my face, and once this was done, I had access to spiritual thought. This rolling something off the face is an appearance, for it represents the fact that we are moving from natural thinking to spiritual thinking. Angels take the greatest care to shield the awakening person from any concept that does not taste of love. Then they tell the individual that he or she is in a spirit. After the spiritual angels have given us the use of light, they do everything for us as newly arrived spirits that we could ever wish in that state. They tell us, at least to the extent that we can grasp it, about the realities of the other life. However, if our nature is such that we do not want to be taught, then once we are awakened, we want to get out of the company of angels. Still, the angels do not leave us, but we do leave them. Angels really do love everyone. They want nothing more than to help people, to teach them, to lead them into heaven. This is their highest joy. When spirits leave the company of angels, they are welcomed by the good spirits who are accompanying them and who also do all they can for them. However, if they had led the kind of life in the world that makes it possible for them to be in the company of good people, then they want to get away from those as well. This happens as long and as many times as necessary until they find the company of people their earthly life had fitted them for. Here they find their life, and remarkable as it may sound, they then lead the same kind of life they had led in the world. The first stage of our life after death does not last more than a few days, though in the following pages I will be describing how we are then brought from one state into another until finally we arrive either in heaven or in hell. This too is something that I have been allowed to learn from a great deal of experience. I've talked with some people on the third day after their death, when the events described in number 449 of Heaven and Hell and 450 were completed. I talked with 3 whom I have known in the world and told them that their funeral services were now being planned so that their bodies could be buried. When they heard me say it was so that they could be buried, they were struck with a kind of bewilderment. They said that but they were alive and that people were bearing what had been useful to them in the world. Later on, they were utterly amazed at the fact that while they had been living in their bodies, they had not believed in this kind of life after death, and particularly that this was the case for most everyone in the church. So it's so hard for Christians to believe Swedenborg, I think, anyway, okay. Some people during their earthly lives have not believed in any life of the soul after the life of the body. When they discover they are alive, they are profoundly embarrassed. However, people who have convinced themselves of this joining up with others of like mind and move away from people who had lived in faith. Most of them link up with some hellish community because such people reject the divine and have no use for the truths of the church. In fact, to the extent that we are convinced ourselves in the opposition to the ideal of eternal life of the soul, we also convince ourselves in opposition to the realities of heaven and the church. After death, we are in complete human form. The fact that the form of spirit person is a human form, or that the spirit is a person as far as a form is concerned, follows from what has been presented in a number of earlier chapters, especially where I explain that every angel is in a perfect human form, that everyone is a spirit inwardly, and that the angels in heaven are from human race. This may be grasped even more clearly from the fact that we are human because of our spirit, not because of our body, and because of our physical form is appended to the spirit in keeping with its form, not the other way around, since the spirit is clothed with a body that suits its form. As a result, the human spirit acts upon the individual parts of the body, even the smallest ones, even to the point that any part that is not activated by the spirit, any part in which there is no spirit acting, is not alive. Anyone may realize that this is by considering that thought and intent activate absolutely everything in the body and are so completely in control that nothing dissents, that if anything does not consent, is not a part of the body, it is actually expelled at something with no life in it. Thought and intent are the attributes of spirit, not of body. And I will stop there. Page 24. Okay, so I hope that you have a blessed day, and it's a wonderful Valentine's for you. Love you guys all. Okay, bye-bye.